Just to remind folks out there, I'm currently holding an art contest, and the winner will receive a Simpsons episode review request on my channel. Sounds pretty cool, am I right? Simply click the video linked in the description box below to find out more information about this contest. Good luck, and I'll be looking forward to your entries. Howdy folks, Jamboriki here. Last year on Puppet Panic I reviewed the Neverending Story. A strange, ethereal and otherworldly film about a Native American boy's quest to save his fantastical land with the help of a supportive, invested reader. This was a really unique and charming movie, a film so special that you'd be crazy to make a sequel out of it. But someone tried anyway! Someone slapped the number 2 on the Neverending Story. In the Neverending Story 2, Bastian ends up returning to Fantasia, the magical world found in the enchanted book The Neverending Story. This time though, Bastian comes back to Fantasia not as a reader, but in the flesh. There, he has the responsibility of fueling Fantasia's existence with his imagination, because he's the only one invested in its stories. Fantasia has called upon Bastian to save them from a dangerous unknown force that's trapped the childlike empress in her own castle. Bastian reunites with his friends Atreyu the Native American warrior, Falcor the Luck Dragon, and the Rockbiter to find out what their enemy is. Meanwhile, Zaid the evil sorceress tries to erase Bastian's memories and thus end Fantasia. To do this, she uses a machine that takes memories away from users of the wish-making necklace named the Orin, which has been handed to Bastian. It's up to Zaid's spy, Nimbly the bird, to convince our hero to use the Orin for wishes so that his memories start to vanish. However, Bastian and Atreyu discover Zaid in her lair. She confesses to everything and promises to take our heroes to the Empress's castle and free her. Along the way, Zaid manipulates Bastian into believing that Atreyu is against him and encourages him to start making more wishes. Back on Earth, Bastian's father notices that his son has gone missing, and the Neverending Story book is the only clue to his disappearance. This movie really is a downgrade from the classic original, a sequel that was clearly only produced to cash in on the success of the first film, and tries oh so very little. Fantasia, a land that was depicted with majestic scope and wonder, now looks like an amusement park, and its citizens look like guests at a Halloween masquerade. It's like the filmmakers used scraps and leftovers from the first movie to make a quick buck. This fantasy world has no atmosphere, no charm, and no enchantment. Everything looks like a set, and I couldn't immerse myself in anything it had to offer. The thing that makes this sequel more than just a watered-down version of the first film is its stupid and lazy writing. The biggest case for this is Bastian himself, who not only ignores his wish-granting powers in many hazardous occasions, despite not knowing that he'll lose his memory if he makes any wishes, but also makes wishes that are completely dumb. From conjuring up a dangerous dragon in the middle of a public area, to relying on a bloody spray can to defend himself from a monster. Why is this kid the savior of Fantasia? On top of this, he becomes way too easily manipulated into making wishes for the villainess. When he finally meets Zaida, he naively listens to her every word like it's coming from a saintly princess, and ignores the fact that this woman is a dangerous sorceress behind the trouble going off in Fantasia. Bastian is only dumbed down so that the villain can reach her goal faster, and tension can be created between Bastian and Atreyu. This is forced and contrived storytelling, and the characters suffer for it. Just think about this for a minute. Bastian trusts a woman he's just met, a woman who openly stated that she kidnapped the Empress of Fantasia more than Atreyu, a character that he emotionally connected with throughout an entire book. Now some of you are probably defending the film and saying, well, hang on, Bastian is losing most of his memory, so he's going to end up losing his common sense and rationality. He only starts to lose most of his memories once he becomes easily convinced by the villainess to make more wishes. He has no excuses. He's a fucking muppet. Okay, let me calm down and collect my composure. Whew. What about our beloved characters from the first movie? How does the sequel handle them? Well, I'll admit that it's hard to be moved when Bastian and Atreyu meet up with their old friends, because these aren't the Bastian and Atreyu from the first film. They're written differently and played by new actors, who have their own intentions for the characters. These aren't the Bastian and Atreyu I connected to in the first film, so it doesn't make me overjoyed when this Bastian reunites with the Rockbiter, the Childlike Empress, or Falkor. Unfortunately, this is just one of the consequences of changing the cast and crew between sequels. However, the film does do a decent job with our friends from the first film. Rockbiter is his usual slow-talking, sensitive self, and it's sweet that he has a baby of his own now.
Me, Junior. Is this yum, Rocky? Let me try
Plus, Falkor is once again gloriously awesome, cheeky, wise, and kind-hearted.
Chase? Did somebody say Chase?
Falkor! Boy, am I glad to see you.
And I'm glad to see you.
Well, then what are we waiting for?
But I've got an itch behind my ear. Oh.
As for the Childlike Empress though, she has much less screen time, even more so than the first film, so I can't really say anything noteworthy about her. She's just there to serve as the damsel in distress, and that's about it. So what about the puppetry, the focus of this review series? Well, it's okay, to say the least. Sure, these puppets look just like the ones used in the first film, which I heavily praised, but it's the way this sequel frames and performs them that isn't impressive. These are majestic, strange and fantastical creatures that are twice the size of our heroes. Give them some grandeur. Nimbly the bird is also technically a puppet, and while there's a lot of interesting intricate detail in his feathers, and I like how the puppeteer gets into his avian role, squawking his lines and ticking his head like a real bird, the fact he has beady little human eyes is very, very, very distractingly creepy. To conclude, The Neverending Story 2 is a very underwhelming and poorly thought out film with no passion or sincerity, but it's not one of the worst sequels I've seen. I'd rather watch this than something like Belle's Magical World. I've been Jamboree, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, then please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. With enough sponsors on my Patreon, I could turn this channel into my full-time job and start making episodes of Puppet Panic every single week. How cool would that be? So, what am I going to be reviewing on the next episode of Puppet Panic? Well, did you know there's a third Neverending Story? Yep, I'm doing that next. Cheerio, folks.